We're about to go into the multiverse and across the Spider-Verse for this brand new drop list, so stay tuned. Welcome back, Gainers, to another incredible, exciting, fantastic episode of ComicGains. If you're new to the show, I'm Adam.
I'm Zach, and this is Princess Rohan, looking very low-day, just like usual. Do that Prince Away. You know, she's doing the Prince Away due to there's Coco, Bow Down Respect, and get those games.
Alright, guys, okay. We're back on this awesome Monday to report the recent comics to make the drop list, to grace the drop list as it be. And that's what we do every Monday. We hang out with you guys and we check the trending list, hot lists. What other kind of lists are there? Building lists.
Building lists, calibration lists,
And we try to see which books 1 year ago everybody was clamoring about and why that was. And we check it 1 year later and we try to find out if that was for good reason or for bad reason. Or maybe you should be checking them out because everyone forgot about it, because that's sometimes the case. That can be the case around here. And it's pretty exciting. We have to learn some new information and share some goodness with you. And that's what we like to do. And you know what else we also like to do?
We like to drink tasty beverages. And I want some OJ. I want some vitamin C in my life to up my immune system. Not lower, but up. And, a nice one little glass of OJ never hurt anybody.
Gains of OJ?
A full thing of OJ probably would be a bad thing. There's a lot of sugar in there.
That's how you get the kidney stones. The stones. Those kidney stones.
They don't do it better than Florida. Florida are natural. Get those guys.
You know where there's a good place not to get kidney stones?
Whatnot.
Hanging out with us on Whatnot. Because that's where you get those gains and not those stones. Every Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, you start the epic journey of gains with Adam and Zach. And then if you stay tuned till 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, you get to hang out with the Princess, where she hosts her very own show live. And you have tons of opportunities to get slabs, gains, be on wheels, be on walls. All kinds of cool stuff.
Hanging from walls.
So check us out. There's a link down below. All right, let's get into the drop list for this week. So if you guys are new to the drop list as well, we organize this from least dropped to most dropped. And you get an extra special number one pick of the week from our main man, Zach, who tends to know a lot about slabs. He slabs a lot of things.
Yep, slab a lot. I just thought about a bunch of dirty stuff. Oh, yeah. It's like you slab cards, you slab comics, you slab even video games sometimes. I don't get it. You can't play it anymore, but you slab video games. I like it.
Well, same thing. You can't read the comics no more. But yeah, I see your point. I see your point.
Can't wait till they do slapping consoles.
Speaking of points, the number 5 book on the list this week is a small little drop, but it's the Legends #1 from DC Comics 1986. John Byrne and Len Wein, and got first appearance of Amanda Waller and Brimstone. I have my mouth open and everything, Zach. So this book is pretty interesting. It's never gotten the credit I think it has deserved over the years. Has been on the trending list multiple times in the past, probably 4 or 5 years at least. Been on there multiple times. Viola Davis has done such an excellent job in every portrayal of Amanda Waller that she continues to get the role, despite the movie that she's in may have not have done so well. She herself has done well. And so these are just all the times this book has been on the trending list. You have Suicide Squad #1, which is one of Zach's favorite movies of all time. Sure. Suicide Squad #2, which came out. You had The Peacemaker show. She also was in that one, and currently last year we found out she was going to be a Amanda Waller spin-off, and that's why this book is trendy again. I don't know, will it stick, her being the main character? Will that finally be the cure for Legends #1 to get off the drop list?
Right. It almost didn't make it on the drop list, guys, because prices a year ago was $125 for CGC 9.8. Now it's $121. Small drop. Range though,
3%.
Yeah. Range, though, is $76 to $190. So in between there, it has dropped a lot, but now it's back up. Average sale is $139, and like I said, it's a 3% drop. Probably the smallest drop I've seen on the drop list. Pretty steady book right now. Pretty steady book. You might want to wait a little bit to buy this book.
It's a good book though. It just always surprises me how cheap that book is when you're checking it out. Okay, the number 4 book on the drop list, and we got some silver, we got some oldie but a goodie. We got Strange Tales 126. That's right, Strange Tales 126 from 1964. You got the dynamic duo Jack Kirby and Stan Lee working on this amazing blue background cover on this one, which is awesome. And if you didn't know, this is what they would call a triple key, a triple. Ooh. It's the first appearance of Dormammu, and who's also on the cover, which is cool. First appearance of Clea, who is not on the cover for a very, very, very long time. And it's the first time Doctor Strange says hoary host of Hoggers. Haggis. It's a hard thing to say. It's a tongue twister, which is Princess loves saying that all the time. She always says that around here. Whenever something goes wrong or something goes right.
I don't like haggis.
That's haggis?
Haggis?
But this is what they call a massive book. Massive key. I thought for a long time it would not be a book I'd be able to own in my collection without, finding one out in the wild because it was so expensive for such a long time. Fortunately for us, or myself, it has made its way onto the drop list and made its way into my collection. And this is, had a couple of good reasons. You had, Doctor Strange, number 1. They had some good spec for Dormammu when it first came out, and everyone was looking at that book. And then, recently enough, you had the Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange movie, the second one, which came out, which gave us a little bit of Clea action sprinkled in at the end, and you got to see Charlize Theron in the end credits. Oh. So, pushing this book back up a year ago, but what happens when it gets pushed up a year ago? It eventually gets pushed back down and onto the drop list. But I think this book has a lot of legs to go with. They're pushing Clea a lot. Like, she just had her own solo title in the Marvel Comics, which usually means she could get her own solo movie or at least be part of like a group. I don't know how that's going to work. Maybe they pull off like a Ant-Man and Wasp. The next one be Strange and Clea. Or like, something along those lines. It could work.
Yeah.
That's how I'm thinking.
I think they should do a villain one. Dormammu with Galactus, and they'd be hanging out, messing up stuff. The best of friends.
It could be.
But
Little Fox and the Hound.
The door has dropped on this one, and now it's become a Dormammu. Prices, that doesn't make any sense. Dormammu. Price a year ago for CTC 8.0 because it's very hard to find sales in 9.8. 8.0 is $780. Now it's $660. Range $660 to $780. Average sales $720. 15% drop. Pretty decent. It's a very hard to find book in in high grades. So the sales data is pretty low. Mid grades, probably not too bad, but high grades 8 and above, wow. They don't really come back that high. So if you have one of those, congratulations. You get a pretty high grade book for this particular book.
Yeah, Strange Tales really wasn't respected until recently. You had like the last 2 big blue chip books were probably, first Doctor Strange and first Daredevil. Yeah, those are probably the 2 last big blue chip keys to take off where most of our price ranges as of now. And we have the number 3 book on the list, and we have a guest announcer as well. Zach loves this book so much, he wants to tell you all about it.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
It's
a Devil Dinosaur number 1. Great Kirby cover.
It is a good cover.
It's a Kirby cover, and it was also written by Kirby.
What?
The story is written by Kirby. It came out in April 1978. It's the first appearance of Devil Dinosaur and Moon Boy, not Moon Girl. There was a teaser trailer that came out in February 2022, and that got to talk about all of this and, Devil Dinosaur and Moon Boy. But in the teaser trailer, they did not show Moon Boy, but they did show Devil Dinosaur. And that's what got this book jumping for a couple months, and then it started dropping after that a little bit. And was only 20-second long trailer. Not that much to go after.
Teaser.
Exclusive teaser trailer. A little bit of backstory about this. So, Devil Dinosaur and Moon Boy come from a parallel universe called Dinosaur World. That's creative. Mm-hmm. A universe where dinosaurs and other prehistoric creatures coexist with tribes of primitive humanoid beings. And funny thing is that the reason I made this series back in 1978 was the Kamandi series. In DC, they made, a few years earlier than this, they made the Kamandi series. And then right around the time that Devil Dinosaur came out, they leaked that Kamandi was getting its own animated TV series, right? So Marvel was like, we need to do the same thing. We need to keep up with them. So they hired Kirby, or they got Kirby to do the Devil Dinosaur series, and then they're going to make it into an animated TV show also to compete with DC. Well, neither one happened. The Kamandi show was canceled, and eventually, after 10 plus issues of Devil Dinosaur, it was also canceled, and neither one had an animated series. So that's why that happened. But now into prices. So prices a year ago for a CGC 9.8 was $405. Now $250.
Wow.
Range is $194 to $450. Average sales $302. And or euros. It could have been euros. And it's about a 38% price drop. It's a cult classic Kirby cover and story. So there's a lot of people who really like this. This book kind of freaks me out sometimes. Like, oh, it's cool that it got Devil Dinosaur on it, but you get this weird kind of guy on top of it, but it's classic. Yes. It's a great book to get at a 9.8. And Princess has a very clean copy. So, yeah. Hurrah. Huzzah.
Those Devil Dinosaur games. All right, next up on the list. Ooh, we're digging deep on this one. We got a number 2 on the drop list is The Ronin, number 1, DC Comics, 1983, good year. This is also a double duty book. Frank Miller art and Frank Miller writing, the great Frank Miller. So I have to admit to you guys, I have not ever read this story, so I will give you my synopsis on it. From what I know, it's a 6-issue limited series that puts a samurai from feudal Japan into the future of a high-tech dystopian New York to battle demons who killed his master. Oh. Sounds pretty awesome. I do need to eventually pick this up and read this thing. So a couple of things, a couple of reasons why this was popping off last year. Two of Frank Miller's non-superhero properties in the past have done very, very successful. You have that as 300 and Sin City were both of his properties. So a lot of people are speculating on things that he's written translate very well to the big screen. So Ronin could be one of those. And last year around this time is when they announced that Frank Miller was getting his own publishing company. So there's Frank Miller Publishing now. And some properties that he has more rights to, people are speculating there'll be continuations of those stories. The Ronin is one of those where I think he has like full control over the Ronin. So him adding on to that story is definitely possible. I have seen the Frank Miller books in the preview guides. I've not ordered any. They're a little, the way the graphics sounds, it's a lot like the whole book's like Frank Miller. And then there's a little like the title underneath, which is kind of cool, but kind of weird at the same time. You know, I'm more interested in like what the story is. And it's cool to know who wrote it, but it doesn't need to be like the whole thing for it. It doesn't seem like that many people are ordering a lot of the books from the publisher, but maybe that's just me. But it's a cool story, and it made it on the drop list, so Zach will give you more info. Maybe it's a good time to pick this up. I don't think this book has ever gotten super expensive. Maybe it should have.
Frank Miller, not crazy, making great books. Title, doesn't matter. Okay, so prices a year ago for CGC 9.8 was $251. Now it's $120. Range is $46 to $251. Average sales is $110. It's a 52% drop. So, all the Frank Miller stories are classic. Some of them are not as good as you would like, but others are like just crazy. It does crazy great art, crazy good stories. And just ignore the bad ones. Okay, guys? Frank Miller is a legend. He is one of the most amazing comic creators of that time period, and even to now. So, yeah. This is a pretty decent spec book right here. And it's at a pretty decent price for CGC 9.8. So, you know, gamble a little bit and, get those 9.8 Ronin games.
Yeah, he changed a lot of heroes. You know, you got Daredevil, you got Batman, you got Wolverine, made like all of them better than they were before he touched them. So definitely cool. Definitely cool. Okay. Last but not least on the list, we teased a little Spider-Verse action, and this is the only book we do not have. I wish we had this book. Zach said he passed on it a couple times, unfortunately. But the number 1 book on the drop list is the Spider-Verse issue 6. the beloved Spider-Verse issue 6, which came out in March of 2020, and I'll give you the date specifically. Jed MacKay, the amazing Jed MacKay, who been writing like most of the great stories in Marvel right now. Dave Raposa doing the art on this. So this is 8 first appearances, Zach. Oh my God, 8 first appearances in this book, and we'll give you this, all the appearances. See if you recognize them. We got Sea Spider, Sun Spider, Spider Air, Spider Requiem, Spider Sting, Garden Spider, White Widow, and
wait, what?
The V.
The V.
Or just V.
The
however you want
like
to say it. So a lot of people ask, I mean, there is a lot of Spider-Verse books that are like this, that have like a whole bunch of first appearances. I think 8 might be the most, but there's a bunch that are like 5 or 6 or so, depending on which book you're looking at, that definitely don't have the price that this book has. So like, why was this so expensive? And it kind of jumped up out of nowhere. It was like, hey, this is a cool book, it's $20, and all of a sudden like everybody's like, no, it's $150 for this book in a raw, and everyone's like, okay, whoa, now nobody can afford this anymore. But a couple of reasons why this is such a big book is during this book came out in March of 2020, which was right at the beginning of COVID, when everything kind of shut down, and the print run on this was super limited because a bunch of people weren't able to order it like they were all the other books. So the print run on this is only 19,178, which is super small for a book in today's market. Which is also another famous book that came out the exact same time, Strange Academy #1, which is also a very expensive book, and for kind of similar reasons, came out right at the beginning of COVID. All the print runs are super low. Both cool books, but strangely very expensive. And this might be, if you've been looking at this book like I have, this might be a good time to pick this up because it has landed on the drop list and it has landed at #1. What are we looking at today, Zach? In today's market.
So price a year ago for a CGC 9.8 was $1,575 a year ago. Now $410. Big drop. 410 to 1,825. Average sales 1,228 is that far below the average. So that's telling me that there was a lot of sales above the 1,228. That's wow. Ooh. So it's a 74% drop. This is the #1 drop and probably the #1 buy you probably should get. A lot of these characters I don't really recognize, but there's a couple of them I've heard whispers about, like the sun one or the fire spider, the sun spider, something like that. I've heard something about that.
Sun spider.
I never heard about the V spider or.
What about the White Widow?
I've heard about it in another title, but never in Marvel. But yeah, I would say this is probably the #1 drop and probably the #1 price point to get right now, because you're going to get it right before the movie comes out, pretty close, and if any of these characters pop off, the book's going to jump up real quick and you can probably flip it. Maybe buy 2 copies, flip one of them, and pay for both of them, and then you're like, okay, whether this goes up or down from this point, I'm in the green.
True. Very true. It is a special yet strange book.
So, real quick announcement, I hanged out with the Canadian this last Thursday, I believe. Wednesday. It's hard to remember what days are which. He already made fun of me about not remembering. We went to Golden Age Comics, hanged out for a little bit, had some food. He got some cool books. I'll show you right here. And yeah, great dude. Great, pretty awesome to hang out with some community members randomly in the week when he's on his vacation. It was perfect timing. So shout out to the Canadian. Great taste in books, and of course, get those games. Anyways,
Get those gains. All right, guys. That's going to wrap up the drop list for the week. If you ever want to hang out with the Gains crew, just drop us a line when you're in the area in Seattle.
Yeah.
Find you a cool place to hang out.
Ideally, a little bit north of that, so I don't have to drive there. I was like having that. Remember the eye issue things? Yeah, that was a little scary driving a little bit around, but we were able to get through it. I broke a couple of traffic laws, but it was all right.
All right, guys. As usual, if you like and love the show, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell so you always know when things are going down, because we like to go live on Wednesday from time to time. And do us a favor, leave a comment. Let me know which one of the Spider characters in the Spider-Verse 6 is your favorite. That way I know which ones are the good ones.
Why would?
And Zach, what else you got for him?
Oh, You gotta share how you do that. You gotta sneak down in hell. Rough through all the devil's belongings and take his bell, come up and ring it. It's like, hell's bells. It's like, what's he doing? Like some crazy guy out in the street, like Santa Claus, but without the actual suit. It's like, what the hell? But you're doing hell's bells because you got hell's bell. That's how you get those gains.
I like that you call him Santa Claus.
Santa Claus. You're like
I always call him Santa Claus. That's like Santa Claus.
Santa Claus. Yeah, you're like that one guy that broke through all the 9 areas of hell and just to get back his wife Brunhilde, but instead you get a bell instead.
Be Santa Claus.
And be Santa Claus or wanna be Santa Claus.
All right, guys. Until we see you next time, stay safe and remember,
get those hell bell gains.
Get 'em.
Every single one, even the ones that don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.